Good evening, everyone. We are the Group 1 and we'll be presenting Chapter 2 Strategic Human Resources Management and Planning. Nature of Strategy and HR Management. It provides a framework linking people, management, and development practice to long term business goals and outcomes. Strategy. The proportion an organization follows for how to complete successfully and thereby survive and grow. Strategic HR management. The use of employees to gain or keep a competitive advantage result in greater organizational effectiveness. And next, strategy HR management process. Strategic human resources management is a forward-thinking process of developing and implementing human resources programs that address and solve business problems while directly contributing to major long-term business objectives. HR management was once primarily an administrative function concerned with day-to-day tasks such as employee recruitment and selection and benefit administration, changing labor market condition and new business thinking necessitate HR business strategies that include recruiting and retaining qualified employees as well as providing ethical and cultural leadership. Strategic success with practice recognize HR best practice. Here is the best practices for HR. Employment security, selective recruiting, high wages and incentives, promotion from within, training and cross-training, information sharing, participation, measurement. HR best practice is a set of process and techniques that have been proven by research and experience to increase business performance result. Implementation of HR practices. This is the reason why implementation of HR practices is not widespread because top management usually does not access HR on its strategic contribution. Only about one-fourth of firms monitor effectiveness or productivity statistics. Around one half of organizations do not have HR strategy. 40% of firms report weak or no links between HR and overall strategic plan.
Furthermore, in operationalizing HR strategy or executing the tasks to fulfill the organization's aims, there are four things that they must do. First, understand the business. This includes knowing the financial status of the business to determine whether it is successfully making profit or not. If not, it needs that newer strategies must be implemented. Second is focusing on the key business goals. This includes prioritizing the valuable efforts, activities, and ways which provides the best effects for the business. Which would also indicate the third thing to remember: always prepare for the future. Strategic thinking requires avoiding possible conflicts, which can be done through forecasting. Lastly, the organization must know what to measure. Metrics are a vital part of assessing success. Next are the common areas for HR strategies, which can be divided into two: the planning and performance enhancements. These are the roadmap for solving an organization's biggest challenges with people centric solutions. Through these, employees are taught and treated accordingly with the aims of improving themselves so that the business may meet its goals. Following are the human resources core competencies, which are innovation, productivity, special skills, unusual quality, and outstanding service. One way to expand on your skills in this profession and motivate your workforce is to highlight the fun qualities of HR. That can include coordinating company parties, team days, and charity events and drives. A nice break from keeping up on legal updates and handling tough personal and technical issues. Then, of course, HR contributes to an organization's effectiveness through organization productivity by managing the employee retention, building organizational talent and workforce capabilities for the present as well as for the future. This would also affect the customer service and quality and revenue. The better the HR strategies are, the better the financial contributions would be. In relation to the other slide, let us define productivity. It is the measure of how much work was done and its effectiveness, but with concerns to the cost which was used to generate the resources needed for it. This is where unit labor cost comes in. It is often viewed as a broad measure of price competitiveness.
In relation to the previous slide, these are the approaches to improving organizational productivity. And the approaches are restructuring the organization by revising organizational structures, by reducing staff, and it should also aid in mergers and acquisitions. We should redesign work by changing workloads and combining jobs, reshaping jobs due to technology changes. We should also align HR activities by attracting and retaining old and new employees. We should train, develop, and evaluate these employees and compensate them and other HR activities. We should also outsource using domestic vendors, contractors instead of employees. And the goals in these approaches are increasing organizational productivity and reduce unit labor cost. HR effectiveness and financial performance. HR and finance are not entirely related, but in this slide, or in essence, they are also related because of these two terms, effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness meaning the extent to which goals have been met, whether it is task-related, work-related, or business-related goals. The effectiveness is also needed in both HR and finance. And efficiency, the degree to which operations are done in an economical manner. These are mostly needed in HR and finance because efficiency is also a term used in both HR and finance for tasks, money-related, or other work-related problems or tasks. Global competitiveness and strategic HR. Global competitiveness refers to an ability of a nation or nations to supply high-quality goods and services at reasonable costs while resulting in satisfactory returns, while strategic HR provides a framework linking people management and development practices to long-term business goals and outcomes. Out of those two terms, there are actually three types of global organizations. Number one is importing and exporting of products, goods, and services. For example, the product would be rice, vegetables, or fruits. The second one is multinational enterprise. Multinational enterprise, it could be Unilever, Coca-Cola, or any other brand. While global organizations are like WHO, UN, and others. In connection to the previous slide, global legal and political factors are a comprehensive review of the country's political environment and employment laws before beginning operations. Global cultural factors compares cultures based on Hofstede's classification. Global economic factors are different countries have different economic systems. The differences between labor costs in Singapore and USA compared to those in Germany and Norway are very significant. Hofstede's dimensions of culture. Gert Hofstede's model was based on a study of IBM employees in over 50 countries. He identified 5 dimensions or problem areas which represent differences among national cultures. These are inequality of power, wherein it defines how social inequality is perceived and accepted in different cultures. Individualism is the preference of people to belong to a loosely knit society where importance is placed on the self and autonomy. Masculinity and femininity. According to Hofstede, masculinity represents cultures with distinct gender roles where men focus on success, competition, and rewards, while women focus on tender values such as quality of life and modesty. Femininity represents cultures where gender roles overlap. And lastly, uncertainty avoidance is the degree to which members of a culture feel threatened or uncertain in an unfamiliar situation.
Human resource planning is the process of analyzing and identifying the need for human resources. It is a strategy used by the company which allows them to determine the best fit between employees and jobs, while at the same time ensuring the productivity and longevity of the business. Meanwhile, HR planning responsibilities involve the top HR executive and subordinates who gather information from other managers, which is used in strategic planning and setting organizational goals. A few examples are the following. Number 1, recruiting job candidates, since HR departments often work with other departments and leaders to assess the organization's hiring needs. Number 2, processing employee payroll. Number 3, overseeing compensation and benefits. Number 4, ensuring compliance with laws and regulations. And lastly, number 5, establishing safe work environments. Human resource planning plays a vital role in the company as it deals with strategizing a plan that aligns with HR forecasting. Also, it helps a company to cope with changes in market conditions such as competition, technology, and regulatory framework in an effective way. Having an effective HR planning can result to finding and hiring the right people with the right capabilities who can work at the right time and in the right place. Thus, human resource planning makes it possible for a company to have a vast pool of qualified people for vacancies which are likely to arise now and also in the future. Typical division of HR responsibilities. In the Human Resource Unit, they participate in strategic planning process for the entire organization. They identify HR strategies. They design data systems for HR planning. They compile and analyze data from managers on staffing needs, and they implement HR plans as approved by top management. Managers, on the other hand, they identify supply and demand needs for each division/department. They review/discuss HR planning information with HR specialists. They integrate HR plan with departmental plans. They monitor HR plan to identify changes needed. And they review employee succession plans associated with HR plans. HR planning issues and small businesses. Number 1, attracting and retaining qualified outsiders. One of the more important roles the Human Resources Department fulfills is recruitment of talent. The resume screening process takes much precision, as each one needs to be considered for a review as to whether someone is qualified. Hence, for small businesses, it is almost difficult to do so due to lack of manpower, especially when most HR responsibilities involves efforts to retain existing staff. Number 2, management succession between generations of owners. Number 3, evolution of HR activities as the business grows. Number 4, family relationships and HR policies. For numbers 2, 3, and 4, keeping order is an essential. In this generation of technology and world of social media, it is important to be able to keep up with the current trends and incorporate the company's talents and skills while still staying professional. In situations such as being a small business, it's up to HR to keep the company informed. HR planning issues and small businesses. Number 1, attracting and retaining qualified HR planning process. The first step is to review organizational objectives and strategies. Doing so helps the company understand what they might need to improve or what works well. After this, 2 steps must be done simultaneously. Scan external environment for labor supply changes and assess internal workforce. During these steps, it can also be beneficial to communicate with department leaders and managers to see how they feel their team members are performing and if they need more resources to fulfill their department's responsibilities. Once there are data gathered, the company can consider creating a spreadsheet or document highlighting each department's skill set based on its employees. The next step is to develop forecasting, which contains identifying organizational need for people and determine people available. Determining the company's HR supply and demand involves analyzing collected data and information on current employees that the company can now use in order to anticipate potential or necessary changes to future company employment. And the last step is to formulate HR strategies and plans. When creating one, it's important to decide whether the company can hire more employees, transfer contracts, or focus on developing current employees' skills.